Okay, so in the last session, we covered subtopic 1 and 2. So in this lecture, we will concentrate on topic, finishing the subtopics, which is subtopic 3 and subtopic 4. Okay, so please concentrate, everybody. So if there's any questions, you can ask me through WhatsApp. Okay, for today, we'll be going into the third subtopic, which is the process of science. So the nature of scientific inquiry differs from other ways of knowing and learning because the scientific process uses the scientific method, which is a standard series of steps used in gaining new knowledge that is widely accepted among scientists. So the scientific method acts as a guideline for scientific study. Scientists often modify or adapt the process to suit their particular field of study. So initially, they have the observation. And then after making observations and gathering knowledge about a phenomenon, a scientist uses inductive reasoning to formulate a hypothesis. Okay, when they are done with the hypothesis, they will do the predictions and the experiments. They will carry out the experiments to confirm the prediction, and then they will come out with a conclusion. So this is the steps that you have to follow in order to carry out a scientific research. In the lab, I will explain further on this because you will need to have some of this information for your lab report. Okay, so in this figure, the scientists wanted to test whether antibiotic B is a better treatment than, is better treatment for ulcers than antibiotic A, which is currently in use. So he performed the experiments. He split the experiment into 3 different groups, which is the first one is the control here. With the control, we have the test group 1, and then they have the test group 2. And then they collect the data. Each subject was examined for the presence of ulcers, and then they have the results. So when you have the result, you have to do the analysis, statistical analysis. So and then you have to come up with a conclusion. So when you do a scientific study, you must have the aim to publish it, okay, to make people know of your work. So usually they will, most of scientists, we will publish in the journals. This is called a scientific journal. The ultimate goal of science is to understand the natural world in terms of scientific theories, which are concepts that join together well-supported and related hypotheses. So in ordinary speech, the word theory refers to a speculative idea, but in contrast, a scientific theory is supported by a broad range of observations, multiple experiments, and repetitive experiments and data, often from variety of disciplines. So some of the basic theories of biology are the theory of cell, the theory of homeostasis, and also the evolution, which we will look into next. Okay, so the theory of evolution has been a fruitful scientific theory, meaning that it has helped scientists generate new hypotheses. So because this theory has been supported by so many observations and experiments for over 100 years, some biologists refer to this theory as the principle of evolution, which is a term sometimes used for theories that are generally accepted by an overwhelming number of scientists. So the term law instead of principle is preferred also by some of the scientists. For instance, in the following chapter, uh, concerning the energy relationship, we will examine the law of thermodynamics. So that is a law, it's not a theory. Okay, so we'll go into detail on that in the next chapter. Okay, so this is the basic theories of biology. For example, here we have 3, which is theory of cell, with the concept of all organisms are composed of cells, and new cells come only from pre-existing cells, And then we have the theory of homeostasis and also the theory of evolution. Science is a systematic way of acquiring knowledge about the natural world. Science is a slightly different endeavor than technology. Technology is the application of scientific knowledge to the interests of humans. So scientific investigations are the basis for the majority of our technological advances. So as in often the case, any technology which we know, like for example, Apple, every year they will produce a new phone, and also new drugs are being produced every single year. These are all based on years of scientific investigations. However, despite our scientific and technological advances, there are many challenges facing the society. So in this subtopic, we'll explore a few of those critical challenges that scientists are actively investigating. So biodiversity is the total number and relative abundance of species, the variability of their genes and the different ecosystems in which they live. So the biodiversity of our planet has been estimated to be around 8.7 million species, and this is not counting bacteria. So far, approximately only 2.3 millions have been identified and named. So next we go on into extinction. So extinction is the death of a species or larger classification category. It is estimated that presently we are losing hundreds of species every year due to human activities, and that as much as 38% of all species, including most primates, birds, and amphibians, may be in danger of extinction before the end of the century. So in many cases, these extinctions are associated with climate change. The two most biologically diverse ecosystems, which is the tropical rainforest and coral reefs, are home to many organisms. These ecosystems are also threatened by human activities. The canopy of the tropical rainforest alone supports a variety of organisms, including orchids, insects, and monkeys. Coral reefs, which are found just offshore of the continents and islands near the equator, are built up from calcium carbonate skeletons of sea animals called corals. So reefs provide a habitat for many animals, including jellyfish, sponges, snails, crabs, lobsters, sea turtles, eels, and some of the world's most colorful fishes. So like tropical rainforests, coral reefs are severely threatened as the human population increases in size. Some reefs are 50 million years old, yet in just a few decades, human activities have destroyed an estimated 25% of all coral reefs and seriously degraded another 30%. So at this rate, nearly 3/4 could be destroyed within 40 years. It's very sad, isn't it? So similar statistics are available for tropical rainforests. The destruction of healthy ecosystems has many unintended effects. For example, we depend on them for food, medicines, and various raw materials. So, for example, here we have the destruction of the South American rainforest, which has killed many species that may have yielded the next miracle drug and has decreased the availability of many types of lumber activities. So we are now only beginning to realize that we depend on ecosystems even more for the services they provide. So just as chemical cycling occurs within a single ecosystem, all ecosystems keep chemical cycling throughout the biosphere. So the working of ecosystems ensure that the environmental conditions of the biosphere are suitable for the continued existence of humans. So over the past decade, several new diseases have been in the news. For example, such as the H5N1, the H7N9, the swine flu H1N1, the severe acute respiratory syndrome, the SARS, and also the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, MERS, and lately the COVID-19. So these are called emerging diseases because they are relatively new to humans. So where do emerging diseases come from? So some of them may result from new or increased exposure to animals or insect populations that act as a vector for diseases. So changes in human behavior and the use of technology can also result in new disease. So SARS is thought to have arisen in Guangdong, China. This is due to the consumption of civets, a type of exotic cat considered a delicacy for them. So the civets were possibly infected by exposure to horseshoe bats sold in the open market. Okay, some pathogens mutate and change hosts, jumping from birds to humans. So for example, before 1997, avian flu was thought to affect only birds. However, a mutated strain jumped to humans in the 1997 outbreak. So to control that epidemic, officials killed 1.5 million of chickens to remove the source of the virus. So new forms of avian influenza, which is a bird flu, are being discovered every few years. So both emerging and re-emerging diseases have the potential to cause health problems for humans across the globe. Scientists investigate not only the causes of this disease, but also their effect on our bodies and the mechanisms by which they are transmitted. The term climate change refers to changes in the normal cycles of the Earth's climate that may be attributed to human activity. Climate change is primarily due to an imbalance in the chemical cycling of the element of carbon. Normally, carbon is cycled within an ecosystem. So today, the amount of carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere is about twice the amount that remains in the atmosphere. So this belief that most of this dissolves in the ocean, which is increasing their acidity. The increased amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is causing a rise in the temperature called the global warming. So these gases allow the sun rays to pass through, but they absorb and radiate heat back to Earth, a phenomenon which is called the greenhouse effect. So there is a consensus among the scientists from around the globe that climate change and global warming are causing significant changes in many of the Earth ecosystem and represent one of the greatest challenges of our time. Okay, everybody, so that is the end of our first topic, which is a view of life. Thank you so much for all the attention. I'm sure this virtual thing is very tiring because there is no two-way communication. It's only one way. You just have to hear everything from me. But I hope in the week of the face-to-face, we'll discuss more on this. So if there's any questions or anything, you can ask them. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.